you take the other. Mr. Speaker, you just quoted Article 296 of the Constitution. Yes, the discretion to recognize is within your bosom.
Enforcing that ruling is completely different from subsequently also achieving balance. So please, when you behave this way, it doesn't give an indication that the Speaker is in control of what happens here. It will seem as if whatever you want, that is what must happen in the chamber.
You take the other. Mr. Speaker, you just quoted Article 296 of the Constitution. Yes, the discretion to recognize is within your bosom. And that you have just interpreted 296. Mr. Speaker, the order of recognition, as I know, is that when one is called, the other is also recognized. Mr. Speaker, as you've been told, Rickett moved the motion. They didn't allow the other side to second. It came from this side. Adongo has had his say. Abena was up, and then the majority leader insisted that they should call. Yes, we know what is going on here. We know. You signal that Achampo should be called. Mr. Speaker, what is happening? It's unfair to her. It's very dangerous. A certain precedent is being set. We need to have our turn. It cannot be that they have two continuous speakers. Adongo has spoken. At least our side must speak. Then we do it in turn. What is wrong? Mr. Speaker, I would submit that in the circumstance we find ourselves now, Mr. Speaker, giving us the next opportunity to speak after Adongo would be most appropriate in the circumstance, because you've just made your ruling. But to still go ahead to recognize Honorable Achampong, Mr. Speaker, would render odious all the arguments we've made thus far.
Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the Minority Leader, when a ruling goes in his favor, he's excited. When a ruling goes against him, when a ruling goes in his favor, he celebrates it. When a ruling doesn't favor him, he says he won't accept. Mr. Speaker, we cannot work like this. We cannot work like this. Mr. Speaker, you just gave a ruling. Mr. Speaker, you just gave a ruling. Unless the minority leader did not understand your ruling. He did not understand your ruling. Because the conclusion of Mr. Speaker is that the Speaker has a discretion to decide who speaks. That's all. The Speaker has a discretion. And once the Speaker exercises the discretion in favor of anybody, that person obtains a right to speak. And I'm saying that at the time when the controversy arose, the Speaker in the chair at that time had recognized Honorable Achampo. And so he's simply enforcing the ruling. Enforcing that ruling is completely different from subsequently also achieving balance. So please, when you behave this way, it doesn't give an indication that the Speaker is in control of what happens here. It will seem as if whatever you want, that is what must happen in the chamber. No, that is what it appears. That whatever you want, that's what must happen in the chamber. It can't happen that way. Mr. Speaker, I think that you have decided an Honorable Achampong will be heard.
Honorable members, Order 127. Decision of the Speaker on interruption of debate. 127. A decision of the Speaker in respect of interruption of debate under Order 122 is not subject to review by the House, except on a substantive motion made on notice. Order 122 deals with interruption of debate. And so you may disagree with me, but the only thing you have to do is to come by a substantive motion on notice. That you can do. The House is made up of members of Parliament, the clerks at the table, the Speaker, and the staff that support us in the conduct of our chamber business. The same for the committees. That is what is defined as the House. The definition of Parliament is as contained in the Constitution. So there's slight difference between Parliament and the House, even though sometimes they are used interchangeably. But that is the right definition of the House. And we have captured that in the new standing orders, the orders that we are using now. So please, members, better look at it. Honorable Richard Achampong, you may continue.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to join colleagues to thank His Excellency the President for the message on the state of the nation, which he delivered to Parliament on Thursday, 27th of February, 2025, which has been captured at page 4 of today's order paper as item 11. Mr. Speaker, the President came to the House on the strength of Article 67 to deliver this message to the House. Mr. Speaker, after the message, I've heard colleagues from the other side say that the President came to lament, he was doing propaganda. And then I heard my colleague, Honorable Nitu, he started by quoting what the former President said when he appeared before this House. That was his first State of the Nation address. But he failed to conclude that part. I want to help him conclude that part. I'm referring to column 1534 of the first State of the Nation address delivered by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I read from the 4th paragraph, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, to give a fair account of the state of our nation, I would have to give an account of the state of our economy, our governance, and our national culture and attitude. And they hate the President for saying this. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama did exactly that. It's like you are sick, and you visit your doctor and complain that I have a headache. The doctor cannot just give you a paracetamol. The doctor must diagnose what is disturbing you. After that, a prescription is given. So the President must tell us the current state of the economy. After that, he will give us the solutions. And Mr. Speaker, after the statement, the President made a solemn pledge. And the Ghanaian Times, 28 February 2025, captured it rightly so for us. This is the front page. I will face economic crisis, reset Ghana to growth and prosperity. So the President did not throw his hands in the air. He did not come here to lament. He told us the current state of the economy and gave us solution. And the President told us that I, John Dramani Mahama, will face this mess created by the MPP administration. And I've heard them also say that he should stop lamenting, he should fix it, then it is a genuine admission that something is broken. That's why you are calling upon him to fix it. If it is not broken, you don't fix it. So we thank you very much for admitting the mess created for all of us, and we are calling upon John Dramani Mahama to fix it. He will fix it for all of us. Mr. Speaker, the President provided us with a solution. He gave us hope, and the city was so inspiring. And the President told us that these are the takeaways. He is going to fight corruption. He is going to realign ministries, agencies, and departments. Hence, the sister ministries created. The ministries, we have sister ministries. And he has appointed sister ministers and deputy ministers. And even we are still left with 4. If you put the 2 together, we are talking about 60. So, Mr. Speaker, if the President is walking the talk, because he promised the people of this country in our manifesto that he's going to work with a lean government by appointing sister ministers, together with regional ministers. And indeed, as we speak, we have 56 ministers appointed. Mr. Speaker, this is going to give us a briefing space, because if the President is disciplined and he engages the labor front that I want to give you 10% pay rise, they will listen to the President because he's walking the talk. The President told us that he is going to cut unnecessary expenditures. We had a President who appointed about 123 ministers. We complained about it. They told us the end will justify the means. And the end has justified the means. The result is 88 that you have. You started with 169. Your second term, you came to 137. You wanted to do a third term. And the verdict is out there, 88. And it rings a bell. So when I hear them say, we've done this, we've done this, we've done that. So are you saying that people of this country are so ungrateful that all the good things you did, they did not see them? For punishing you up to this level, a vote difference of 1.7 million. Mr. Speaker, the President promised us that he is going to put in place a program called Feed Ghana program. Mr. Speaker, look at the inflation level that we have in this country as we speak. We left inflation at 15%. They increased inflation to 54%. Now the average is coming down, is 23.8%. 23.8%. Is it not the case that you took our debt stock from 120 billion to 721 billion? Is it not the case? And you've gone to the other side, and we are saying you've done so beautifully, said that the people of this country are ungrateful and they punish you for all these things. Mr. Speaker, the mess they created, sometimes I sit back and ask myself, how can our friends be that bold, organize press conferences, telling everybody that we left this buffers, about 6 billion buffers, we left this. What is the effect of all these things, Mr. Speaker? The President told us the sinking fund, the dollar account, they left $64,000 in that account. Are you disputing this fact? They left 143 million in the CD account. Nobody's arguing about it. How can 143 million and $64,000 pay 6 billion bondholders coupon? That cannot be possible. How? So, Mr. Speaker, there's a good news for all of us. The President extended an invitation to our colleagues. Let's put all hands on deck. The winner takes all mantle that has become a problem for all of us. Let's build the Ghana we all want. Mr. Speaker, we invited them to a economic dialogue. They refused to attend. But if inflation comes down, who to benefit? If the exchange rate is stable, won't you benefit? If prices of goods and services is even stable, won't you benefit from it? Mr. Speaker, we are talking about our food import, and the drivers of our inflation is food and transport. These are some of the things we want to bring everybody on board so that we'll get the buy-in. So by the end of the day, nobody will go and complain that we were not involved. Come and let's take part of all this restructuring that we are talking about, the resetting we are talking about, building the Ghana we all want. So that by the end of the day, we'll have one country because we are one people. It doesn't matter your political difference. So please, you've lost the elections. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. And you can't change the narrative. So please, one country, let's put all hands on deck and deal with the situation. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Dongo said it here. So if about 80,000 ghost names, 80,000, how much are we losing? If members may recall, in 2018, our friends announced to us that they've dealt with issues about ghost names. That very year, the Chief Director of Ministry of Finance was captured as a ghost. The man who was supposed to make payments, transferred money to Control Accountant General, was classified as a ghost. It tells you the information they put out was misleading. They give us information as if they are doing something better. But on the day, if you go to the ground, you can't see those things over there. And reality has dawned on all of us. And the results is out there. The verdict is out there. So, Mr. Speaker, the President provided leadership. He did not throw his hands in the air. He has extended an invitation to everyone. Let's come together and reset this economy, reset this country, and build the Ghana we all want. So by the end of the day, we can also sit back and say we were part of the process. We contributed our quota. That's why we are where we are today. Mr. Speaker, I'll conclude by saying that in the State of the Nation address, the President touched on a Jumawura program. And according to the President, we will create, track, and mentor businesses. Out of this, about 10,000 businesses will be supported. Mr. Speaker, Okada business has come to stay, whether we like it or not. And it is giving convenience to many people, especially when you are stuck in traffic. Right now, the Transport Minister is undergoing some engagement with other colleagues. Rwanda is part of it. He will go to other countries to learn best practices. They've done it better. Some of you travel to China, you travel to India, you see people using motorcycles to transport people to marketplaces. Though they have limited lanes, there are certain places they can't go. You see it all over the places that you travel to. So it's possible. It's not yesterday's possible. This one is possible. And Mr. Speaker, under this program, you are going to engage about 10,000 operators and we'll teach them road safety issues. It's not like we are just allowing them to ply our roads without any protocol. No, we need to train them about road safety. We have to make sure that they put on their helmet and all the safety mechanisms are put in place. It will create employment for our youth so that they will not go back to the street and be stealing and be doing other things which all of us will say are unacceptable in our society. So, Mr. Speaker, I will thank the President for being bold and then telling us the true state of our economy. We all know Cocoa Board is on its knees. We know. We know GIHOC is on its knees. Nobody should come and tell you another story because we are living it. We saw it. And he who knows it, feels it, knows it. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Speaker, we know the verdict out there. That's why we are where we are today. But there should be a paradigm shift. We are going to reset the nation to build the Ghana we all want. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please.
Just a quick information to you, Mr. Speaker. Our side listened quietly and enjoyed Honorable Achampo. I only pray that our colleagues would also be quiet to listen to Honorable Abna Osayasari.
Yes, Honorable Member for Atiwa East, right? Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for the opportunity. And it's taken a while, but I'm glad I have been given that opportunity to also add my contribution to the State of the Nation's address. Mr. Speaker, honestly, we're expecting the President to use the SONA to set the tone for his administration's governance. But what did we see? What did we see, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker? We rather saw a predictable mixture of economic doomsaying, political blame shifting, and populist promises that is unsustainable, looking at where he claims we are now. Mr. Speaker, in addition to painting that gloomy picture, he says he inherited.
Please, honorable members, please.
Mr. Speaker, in addition to painting that gloomy picture he says he inherited, the President has outlined very heavy expansionary fiscal policies. And I doubt if in any way this is not a populist agenda. I doubt if this is sustainable. Mr. Speaker, on one hand, the President says the economy is in an ICU state. But on the other hand, he's pushed far-reaching social intervention measures with no clear funding plan. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, please.
Mr. Speaker, clearly, we in the MPP never shied away from the challenges in the economy. We were honest about it. And that is why we came up with the PCPEG program, the post-COVID-19 program for economic growth. That is what we came up with. We did not lament. We did not throw our hands in the air.
Why you do that? We'll disturb you people.
We acknowledged the challenges and came up with this program, which we sent to the IMF to assist us in the bailouts. So we did not go to the IMF empty-handed, but we went with our plan. And 2 years down the line, Mr. Speaker, you see, everybody can tell that truly the plan yielded some results. Let me start with the financial sector, Mr. Speaker. For us, the data is clear. We left a much stronger financial sector than what we inherited in 2016. Mr. Speaker, this is why I say so. In 2015, an asset quality review report was done with the IMF, stating the strengths and weaknesses of the banks. And in that report, we saw that some of the banks were bleeding. President Mahama at that time failed to do the needful. He failed to stop the bleeding. In 2016, he failed to stop the bleeding. It took a strong and decisive leader in the person of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to do the needful. To forestall the total collapse of the financial sector. And Mr. Speaker, as a result of this, 1, we were able to save 4.6 million depositors' money. 2, the total banking assets, which we inherited in 2016, was around 81.2 billion Ghana cedis. By October 2024, the total banking assets, which we had, was 367.5 billion Ghana cedis. And this was in October 2024. Mr. Speaker, we also saw the private sector credit increase by 28.8%. And clearly, we have also seen improved ratios in the banks. And this is data coming from Bank of Ghana for January 2025. This is data coming from Bank of Ghana for January 2025. Mr. Speaker, I'm beginning to suspect that with the criticism that the president is giving in the financial sector, maybe he wants to use that as an excuse to recklessly give out banking licenses again for us to witness what we saw in the DKM saga. We haven't forgotten about that. We haven't forgotten about that. Let us remember, we needed a bold and decisive leader to stem the tide in the financial sector. And it was the MPP government led by President Akufo-Addo who did that and saved so much. And here we are with the results today. Data does not lie. Mr. Speaker, still on the economy, we were here when the president told us that we have a scanty reserves for debt servicing. And speaker after speaker on the other side mentioned that as well. But Mr. Speaker, what he failed to say was that across the globe, there were resource challenges as a result of COVID-19 and as a result of COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war. Mr. Speaker, I was expecting this from them. Mr. Speaker, I was expecting this from them. It's the same with President Mahama. When he goes out there, outside this country, he acknowledges the effect of COVID-19.